Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Serge. I hope you guys had a good weekend. So today I wanted to bring up the topic of bone health because I just had a patient who she came to me, someone in her 60s, and her bones were getting worse over time despite taking calcium, despite taking vitamin D, and despite eating better and do different things. Her bones were just declining, and she was puzzled by that. So let's talk about a few myths of bones, bone health, and what we need to do to make sure you stay strong and healthy. So as you may know, bone disease, the risk of getting bone disease increases as you get older. Um, you are, if you're female, you're higher risk of getting bone disease. We all know that. And then if you get a fracture from osteoporosis, your risk of actually dying after 5 years is pretty high, meaning that having a fracture can really indicate the status of your health, especially hip fractures. So if you fracture your hip, that's a sign that your body is just declining and your health, nutritionally speaking, is just worsening over time. And there's different factors, reasons for that. As we can see, at about 35 years old, naturally your bones start getting weaker over time. And that's why you have a higher risk of bone problems. If you're a guy, the bone mass, as we can see, is higher. It peaks at about 35, 36, and is higher than female. So as it goes over time, so we can see for men, the bone gets stronger for a long time. So that's why we are much higher risk of osteoporosis or osteopenia. After seeing that, I have seen the last 5-6 years, men with bone problems coming in. That's something I haven't seen before. This is the new phenomenon for me. It's like, what's going on? So of course, diet is a factor, right? So there's different things that we need to cover. And the first thing that we can see here is 5 factors that can really impact your bones, okay, make them weaker. One is soft drinks. We all know the phosphoric acid from soft drinks can actually deteriorate your bones. It pulls the calcium out of your bones, getting weaker. So this is the first thing that we need to do, is to cut out all the soft drink. It's just bad for you. It has sugar. If you drink the soft drink, diet sodas, it has aspartame or soda or Splenda, which is not any better at the end of the day. It does have a lot of side effects. So soft drinks, first thing we need to do. The second thing we need to talk about is table sugar. Okay, we don't really talk about that a lot. Doctors will say don't consume sugar, don't use salt because salt is bad for you. It's true or not, okay? So it depends. I'm talking about refined table sugar, the white refined sugar, salt, which is bad for you. Actually, this is a refined type of salt. It's depleted of all the minerals. A good quality sea salt will contain about 85 different types of minerals, which is actually really nutritious for your body. But the refined table salt can lead to mineral imbalances in the body, and it can actually lead to potassium or calcium exclusions from your bones. So salt is healthy for you if you use the right salt. Funny enough, there's studies that came up lately that show that Americans don't consume enough of the real sea salt, the real salt. So we should consume somewhere between 3 and 5 grams a day of salt. And the average American would consume 1.5 to 2 grams a day. And most of them actually will use the refined table sea salt, so which is actually bad for you, okay? And a good quality salt, a sea salt, will have iodine, which is really important for your bones. People don't consider that, don't think about that. We all think about iodine for your thyroid, but it's also important for your bones. And then excessive caffeine. So if you drink more than a few cups a day of caffeine, it can actually cause problems. 1 to 2 cups, studies have been shown, it's fine for you, no problems. But every time you consume 6 milligrams of caffeine, it can actually lead to the loss of about 100 milligrams of calcium from the bones. So it's really important to look at the quality of your coffee you drink, how much, first of all, and what you drink. So coffee has to be organic. This is a major issue that I see with a lot of people is if you use non-organic coffee, you actually drink pesticides. Okay, coffee beans, I've said it before, contain a lot of chemicals. They spray a lot of fungicides, pesticides, insecticides on those coffee beans. So if it's unorganic, during the processing of the coffee, those chemicals end up into the coffee and you drink chemicals, which have a lot of side effects on the body. Not just your bones, but it can mess up your thyroid, your liver, your adrenals, and so on. And then first of all, it has to be mold free. Most coffee beans, even though they are organic, contain mold. It's somewhere between 95 and 96% of brands that I read will contain mold. And mold, as you know, it's highly toxic. It can lead to autoimmune issues, hormonal issues, detox issues, and so on. So it's really, really hard to find a good organic mold-free coffee. But at the end of the day, the goal is to not drink too much coffee. So like I said, a few cups a day, it's fine for your bones. Actually, it has been shown to be beneficial for your heart, your brain, your energy, and so on. Fourth, trans fat oils, hydrogenated oils, which is trans fat oil. These are vegetable oils that are highly processed, like Crisco. Okay, this is a fat that we've used for about 100 years. So those trans fat, has been shown to get into the bones and block the entry, block the transport of calcium and minerals into the bone. So if you use those bad fats, it can actually lead to a problem with calcium absorptions into the bone. So you need to avoid those fats. You need to consume good natural fats, coconut oil, butter, bacon, olive oil, avocados, nuts. All those have good omega-3 and omega-6 fats, which are required for your bones. And lastly, wheat. Okay, wheat bran or wheat in general, I consider wheat bran as being part of the wheat component. Wheat is one of the main foods that can actually lead to osteoporosis. Okay, wheat is transformed as sugar by the body, and sugar pulls calcium out of your bone. So every time you eat wheat, consume wheat, you need calcium, you need potassium, you need magnesium to process the wheat out of your system to digest it. So if you don't eat enough of the calcium, those different minerals, your body will pull it from your bones, causing osteoporosis over time. Okay, these are the 5 main foods, and we could add actually pasteurized milk. Pasteurized milk actually has a similar effect on the bone as wheat. It can pull the calcium out of your body, of your bones, same thing with potassium and phosphorus. Milk is just toxic for your bone. And this is one of the recommendations that medical doctors would do is drink more milk, have more dairy products. Dairy products by itself, like cheese, yogurt, butter, not necessarily bad. It's mostly pasteurized milk because pasteurization kills the enzymes of the milk. And that's the problem. You actually consume a dead food. And if you look at the countries that do not have osteoporosis issues, like Japan, they don't drink milk at all. Okay, they just don't drink milk. On the other side, if you look at the countries that they have the highest risk of osteoporosis, the US, Sweden, they have the highest consumption of pasteurized milk. Okay, milk doesn't prevent bone issues. Actually, it makes it worse. So with that patient who came to my office, what I did with her is we cut out a few foods like milk, wheat, sugar. We clean up the diet, increase vegetables intake, increase fresh food, increase meat. Okay, protein is really important when it comes to bone health. This is one of the confusion on that is your bone is mostly made out of protein. So you need protein. So a lot of people today are afraid of eating protein, and you need to increase your protein intake. And this is what we did with her. With that patient, I didn't do any supplements. I didn't do calcium, no vitamin D, nothing. Change the diet. A year later, get back to the doctor, redo the bone scan, and the bone density improved 50%. The doctors were so impressed, and they were puzzled because they never see bone improving. They might see bone stabilizing, but they never see bone improving. So protein, avoid the junk food, all those food we talk about. We added some collagen. Vitamin C is really important. Some people will say that osteoporosis is a scurvy of the bones. So you need vitamin C for bone structure. So you need vitamin C. We did bone broth, gelatin. Bone broth has a lot of good natural minerals from the bones, the old-fashioned ways, okay, to make bone broth. So these are the few things we did, and this is what you need to consider to have stronger bones. Avoid the foods, do these few things to help. And lastly, it has been shown, studies after studies, that lifting weight is really critical for bone mass, for bone health. So you need to implement some lifting, weightlifting during the week for you to make sure you stay strong and healthy. So this is what I wanted to say tonight on bone health. If you have any question, please let me know. You can shoot me a text, a message, or an email. Thank you for watching tonight. So God bless you all.